So we've been over the things I hate, and it's a list that's longer than you might expect. But really, most of those are just nitpicks because this car is fantastic overall. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link it right up here. These are the things that I hate about my M3, but now let's get into the things that I absolutely love. Number 8 is the auto start stop feature. Now, I don't like this feature itself, but I love how BMW handled putting it in this vehicle. So the auto start stop feature is in a lot of modern cars, and it helps boost the EPA emission numbers. In Europe, they're a lot more strict on emissions, and I would assume that this was probably a mandate for this vehicle, especially the later years. It was not in the earlier years of this generation. When you have an auto start stop feature, if you pull up to a stoplight, you're stuck in traffic, something like that, in a manual car, you'll pull up, put the car in neutral, clutch in, and then as you clutch out, it'll just turn off the engine. This supposedly saves fuel for the time that you're stopped, so you're not idling, sitting there wasting fuel. And then when you clutch in to go again, it'll start the car right back up. This can be very annoying and a little embarrassing, honestly, especially if you have a louder car. It sounds like you stalled it. This is really annoying, and BMW understood that their drivers didn't really want this feature, but since they were required to have it, they found a way so it wouldn't bother people. Most auto start stop features are on by default. You can turn it off as you're driving, but a lot of the ones that you can turn off, they still default to on once you turn the car back off. BMW, on the other hand, defaulted it to off. So when you're driving, if you don't hit the button to turn that feature on, you never even know it's there. I'm just really happy that BMW understood their customers. They knew that this is something that they would not enjoy, so they just had it default off, and you never have to worry about it. Number 7 is the iDrive. I know I spoke about the iDrive in my 8 things that I hate video, but I hated how they added more buttons to the controls because it was very simple in the earlier years of this generation. It only had one button and the knob. But I love the system overall. The software improved greatly from the earlier years, and obviously the graphics and everything aren't up to par with the new systems, but I love the way that it's integrated into the dashboard. So across the dashboard, you have kind of this hump where the gauges are, and then there's another smaller hump where the iDrive screen is. Modern BMWs now just have what looks like an iPad glued to the dashboard. It sticks up. It looks completely out of place. I don't like it at all. There's no real protection from sun glare or anything, whereas the screen on this iDrive is set back into a little cave covered by that hump. So there's almost never a time where you're getting sun glare on the screen. And all the controls are really intuitive, to me at least. The menus are easy to get through, and I just think they did a really great job with the system. On to number 6, we're going to talk about interior room. For a coupe, this is a very spacious car. I'm 6'4", I still have plenty of headroom here, and if there was somebody sitting behind me, they'd still have leg room. The coupes are actually almost 2 inches longer than the E90 sedans, so there's plenty of room for passengers inside. You can easily fit 4 full-grown adults in this car, and I've done it before, and they're completely comfortable. They don't feel cramped at all. For number 5, I want to talk about the transmission in this car. I do have a 6-speed manual E92 M3, and honestly, this 6-speed is one of the nicest transmissions I've ever driven. It feels very smooth, but it's not vague. All the shifts are really precise. The throws can be a bit long, but it still feels great to row through the gears on this thing, and downshifts are super easy. Reason number 4 is this nifty little thing. So a lot of long door coupes, it can be difficult to get in the back because either the seatbelt's clipped to the side of the seat and you have to unbuckle it or climb under it to get in the back, or you have to turn around to reach the seatbelt behind you because it's so far back. Since there's a lot of room in the back seat, as I mentioned before, BMW came up with this little arm that extends when you shut the door and hands you the seatbelt, and this is for the driver and the passenger side. Super convenient. Number 3 is the power delivery. I love the way this car gives you power. So it's a very high revving engine. There's not a lot of torque to it, but it feels fantastic all the way through the range. So you're not really getting that low down grunt, but as you get higher and higher in the RPMs, it actually feels like the vehicle is accelerating more as you go along. It's one of the craziest feelings you'll ever experience. If you've ever been in a really high revving car, you'll understand, and this is even amplified once you supercharge the vehicle. I can get in it, start to get on it, low down, around 3,000 RPM. It'll work its way up. Once you start getting into 6,000, 7,000 RPM, you're really pressed back in your seat, and it's a rocket ship on wheels. My second favorite thing about this car is the way it looks. This is honestly one of the most phenomenal looking cars ever, to me anyway. Especially once you give it a little drop, get some nice wheels on it, this thing looks great. Another thing about it is it's really not shown its age at all. This is over a 12-year-old design at this point, and it still looks brand new. You can put it up next to any modern sports car, and you'll think it'll be of the same generation or era. I love the looks of older BMWs, the E46, the E30, but you can tell the era that they came from. They look like the 90s. They look like the early 2000s. They're very square and boxy, and that's not a bad thing, but this one has really stood the test of time. And finally, my favorite thing about my E92 M3 is the way it sounds. I wish I had more clips from the exterior of this car so you guys could hear how fantastic this car is. This is one of the best sounding engines I've ever heard. You can always get into the Ferrari V8s, some of the Lamborghini V12s, some of those iconic, great sounding cars, and this will go head to head with those sounds. I have one clip, it's not great quality. I got it sent to me on Snapchat from someone who filmed me doing a quick airstrip run, but this will give you an idea of the kind of sound this thing puts out, especially once you open up the pipes. I had full catless exhaust and the supercharger kit on at this point, and this is the reason I keep coming back to this car. I have yet to find a modern day car in my price range, at least, that even comes close to sounding as good as this does. And that's it. That's my list. Those are the 8 things that I absolutely love about this car. And maybe you would like to experience some of those great things. As of today, this car is officially for sale. Now, I know you're wondering, yeah, you love the car, why are you selling it? I'm actually moving to North Dakota tomorrow, and I need something a little more snow-worthy. That'll be coming in a future video. But today, if you want to find your own things that you love about this vehicle, let me know. You can buy it from me. That'll do it today. Appreciate you guys watching. If you'd like to see more, you can hit subscribe down below, and I will catch you next time.